This year has brought a lot of changes to mining, and today I'm going to run over everything you need to know to make the most money from mining in 2020. Today's video is brought to you by GameGlass. GameGlass allows you to take control of your ship from a tablet or a phone. But not only that, it can also give you on-screen information about systems, targets and the market around you. So gone are the days where you have no room for all your key bindings or you have to alt-tab out of the game just to look up market data. Follow the link in the video description and try GameGlass for free. If you like it and want more shouts or features, you can either buy them individually or subscribe to GlassPass. Use offer code DTA and get 5% on any purchase. Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Elite Dangerous with Down to Earth Astronomy. So, just to get everybody up to speed, as you most likely know, there are two distinct different types of mining in Elite. There are core mining, where you hunt asteroids with mother lodes inside to crack them open and get the valuable resources inside. And then that's what's referred to as laser mining, which is just fly up to a rock, shoot it with a mining laser, fragments come out, you collect them. So in order to understand what's going on with mining, we need to look at the prices. And therefore we're going to head over here to Inara. And I'm just going to open up the Inara page here for some of the more popular materials to mine when it comes to core hunting. If we look at a typical core material, as you can see here, the prices, they vary of course depending on the material, but most of them, at least the higher value ones, you can expect to get 600 to 800,000 per ton. However, if you keep an eye on the demand, you can see here that the demand is relatively low. A good rule of thumb, if you're ever in doubt, is try to sell to a station where the demand is at least 10 times the cargo that you have. Now, in most ships would often come in with, let's say, 150 to 200, meaning that we have to get quite far down the list before we get a station where that demand is met. Of course, the first station here is actually okay, this is not bad, but still, the 800,000 here is still relatively low compared to what we were used to with something like void opals that we have here, where we could get 1.7 million before the January update. Now, void opals is interesting because it still has some of the high-paying stations that has zero demand. And as I discussed in that video up here, you will know that if you sell to a station with zero demand, you will always get the full price for your full cargo. It's just an effect of the way that this is calculated. But I've seen these stations become more and more rare, and I'm expecting that these stations that have zero demand for void opals is going to disappear. But even then, if you were able to get these 600,000 per void opal, it would still not be very profitable to mine compared to other methods. And this is why we turn our attention to a material like low temperature diamond. Low temperature diamond can both be mined from core deposits, but can also be mined doing laser mining, and is often a way faster way to collect the material by laser mining compared to core hunting. And as you can see here, the prices are mostly untouched. The 1.1 million still stands today, even now, 2 months after the January update almost. And you can see that the demand is not bad. Again, if you come in with a cutter, you can probably expect to have around 500 tons in. So here we're not too far off the 5,000 mark, and we're still able to get the 1.1 million. This means that even as the market is today, you're still going to be able to get from normal like laser mining low temperature diamonds up and around 200 millions per hour. However, things has changed a little bit in terms of ship load count. Because the stations where you can get good prices for your low temperature diamonds are more rare than they used to be, that means we can expect that we will have to travel further. This means we need to change our builds. So I would begin to incorporate fuel scoops into my mining builds, which I didn't have in the past. But here's a list of all the modules you will need if you want to be effective at laser mining low temperature diamonds. First of all, of course, you will need mining lasers. I recommend you fit 2 medium-sized mining lasers. Of course, you can fit more as long as your power distributor can supply power for them. Secondly, you will need the detailed surface scanner so you can scan the rings and locate those triple hotspots in Boran. Next up, you will need a refinery. Any refinery will do, it doesn't matter. You can be C-rated, D-rated, it doesn't matter, just any refinery, smack that in there. Then you will need a prospector limpet controller. Just one is fine. If you can fit a 3A, I do recommend that, so you get 2 active limpets. It does speed up your prospecting, but if you're limited on space, you can make do with a 1A. The only important thing here is that it is an A-rated prospector, since that will give you more fragments, making you more money. So then of course we'll need collector limpets. Again, I recommend going with an A-rated controller for longer lifetime, since we will be fairly close to the rocks. We don't really need the range that you get from a B-rated. In terms of total number of active limpets, I think now would be nice to we can aim around 6+, so I would at least go for 6 collectors. You can make that do, but if you have room, try to incorporate a few more into your build. Then of course, as we talked about earlier, you will need a fuel scoop so we can stock up fuel, both going to this location in Buran, but also heading back to the station to sell the materials. And then of course, cargo. It's always a balance between how many collectors versus how much cargo you want to have. There's no point in you having a huge cargo hold if you're going to be mining very slowly and you're only going to fill it halfway because you don't want to spend 3-4 hours in a ring to fill up that huge cargo hold. On the other hand, it's not effective if you have a very small cargo hold but a lot of collectors. You might be able to fill that cargo hold up very quickly, but all your profit is going to be eaten up by travel time. So what I recommend when it comes to cargo is try to figure out how long mining trips you usually like and how much time it takes to fill up your cargo hold. So let's say you'd prefer to have anywhere between 1.5 hours and 2 hours, then try to figure out how many materials you can collect in that time and try to match your cargo hold with that, and for the rest you just fill up with collectors. So this is really a personal thing. I usually go for around 500 tons on larger ships, and on medium ships I usually go for around the 200 tons mark. And lastly, a shield generator. This is really optional, you don't actually need this to mine, but I prefer to put them in there. And we are going to be flying, navigating fairly close to rocks, and if you begin to bump and scrape against them, it will slowly eat into your hull, and it would really be a shame if you have to go back early because you're running out of hull. In the description below, you will find a link to a slightly altered version of my gold digger build that I've done a video on in the past, also up in the more info icon. The only change I've really done is I swapped out one collector limpet controller for a fuel scoop to give us that little bit extra travel range, but link is in the description and video was in the more info icon. I will also in the near future have a video coming out on a low temperature diamond Python build. Benefits of having a medium-sized ship is, as we saw when we were on Inara, some of the stations where you get the best prices are actually medium-sized stations, meaning that you can't go there on a cutter. Build guide for that is going to come out in the near future, so go down, hit the subscribe button and even the bell icon if you want to, so you get that information as soon as it's out. So once you got your ship ready, you're going to head to the triple hotspot in Buran. This is where you'll need your detailed surface scanner to scan the ring to locate them, and drop in manually to a spot in the ring where the 3 hotspots are overlapping. Once you're in the ring, you need to get out your prospector limpet controller and begin prospecting rocks for anything with low temperature diamonds. I usually go for rocks that has 15% or higher, but you can be more picky. That's really a matter of taste. If you prefer higher profit rocks, then you can go for, let's say, 20%. Or if you're feeling unlucky that day and not really getting anything, well, you can drop down to 10% and then take from there. I probably wouldn't go less than 10%. Also, when prospecting, try to go for rocks that are either A, not spinning, or are relatively round. Because when you're mining, you want to get as close to the rock as possible. And if the rock is uneven, there's a good chance that you will get part of the rock that will hit your ship, or, well, even worse, it will hit your collectors, meaning you will lose your collectors, and you will have to fire them again. Or fragments can sometimes get stuck inside rock. It's just not a good time. So try to find rocks that are not rotating or very round. Also, when mining on a rock, try to position yourself in such a way that you are mining on the lower half of the rock. So if you have a rock here, position your ship next to it like this, angle it downwards slightly, and mine on the asteroid down there. This is going to fire all the fragments underneath your ship, closer to your cargo hatch. This makes it easier for the collector limpets to collect them, because they have a shorter distance to fly. Also, as we talked about earlier, try to get as close to the rock as you possibly can, because again, the closer you are, the shorter your collectors have to fly, and the faster they're going to be able to collect your fragments. When the rock is done, you just sit around and prospect the rocks around you while you wait for the collectors to pick up the last fragments. Try to see if you can find the next target, and if as soon as the collectors are done, you just move on and begin searching for the next rock. So once your cargo hold is full, you're going to head back to Inara, where we're going to go to Galaxy. Then you're going to go to the Commodities tab. You're going to scroll down and you're going to find Low Temperature Diamonds. Make sure you're on the Best Sell tab, and then we're going to find our sell location. Now, as we talked about, try to find a station that has a demand, so the quantity here, that's about 10 times what's in your cargo hold. So if I'm in my cutter, I have around 500 tons in my cargo hold, so I need something that has at least 5,000 in demand. I could go for this. 4.8 is pretty close, because you can see if I had to go down to the first one that has 5,000 plus, I am going to lose, what, 200,000-ish per ton, and I don't think that's really worth it compared to how close these are in demand. So in this case, I would probably go for this station here. But if you're mining in something like a Python, where you will often have around 200 tons in your cargo hold, well, you have plenty of other options here. You have 2 other stations in the same system where that demand is above the 2,000 limit that we're looking for. But we can see again, this shade ring here is also in the same system and it has a higher demand. So I would probably choose this as my sell location if I were mining low temperature diamonds today. But remember, the market change, so every day you're going out mining, come over here, check the prices, and also be wary of the update here. If you find something that is 3 days old, there's a good chance that it's no longer valid. But something that's 5 minutes, 4 minutes, or well, 45 minutes, that's probably fine. As long as it's within a day, I would probably say it's okay. Once you sold your materials, you're ready to go out again for your next haul. And when you get a bit of practice in using this method, you can definitely break the 200 million per hour mark. I really hope you found this video useful. If you did, give it a like, subscribe to the channel, and until next time, I'll see you guys in space.